Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ball Oasis Show, Part 2, the five-part series where we go through the position tier lists. We did point guards last time. That got a little bit of a rise. So we'll see what we get out of shooting guards today. This was an incredibly tough list to do, as me and Jacob have sat here for about 15, 20 minutes just before we even started recording, uh, changing our list. Last time we said we didn't really tweak anything beforehand, but there's been a lot of tweakage going on over the past 24 hours and even over the past 30 minutes. Jacob, are you secure in your list before we start today?
Yeah, I got mine set.
I gotta know. I
Yeah, I
think
got.
I think I think I'm secure too. There will be some backlash from this list, I'm sure. These are our personal opinions going into next season. And without further ado, let's get right into the top 10 shooting guards of the 2023-2024 season. Honorable mentions to start out, like last time. Jacob, who are your honorable mentions who just missed the cut for this list?
My honorable mentions were Dejounte Murray and Tyler Hero. Dejounte Murray, it was hard to rank him because he normally a point guard, but got moved next to Trey Young this past year. The fit wasn't all great, but I think this year with another year, it could definitely be a lot better. It started clicking in the playoffs toward the end of last year. And Tyler Hero, start six man, whichever one. He's still a great guard, even with all the backlash and trade rumors. But he barely missed it.
Yeah, it's funny. Neither of those two guys are my honorable mentions. So I've got two completely different names to throw at you here. I've got Jalen Green as an honorable mention on my list, and I've got Klay Thompson as well. Klay Thompson just missed the cut with his numbers being slightly down last year. His efficiency numbers were good as he shot over 40% from three on like 10 and a half attempts from three, doing what Klay Thompson does. Warriors, of course, get to the second round of the playoffs. So Klay Thompson had to get a little bit of a shout out even with his decline in numbers. But he is going to miss the cut on this list. And Jalen Green, a guy who could potentially, see a boost in numbers this upcoming season, averaged 22, 4, and 4 last year on an albeit on struggling Rockets team. That team could be better this year, and Jalen Green is the catalyst of that team. So they both get mentions, but they're going to just miss the cut on my list today. Two guys who are solid players in the league. But let's get into the top 10, Jacob. I'm excited. I'm really excited to get to this one because there's going to be some cases going to have to be made about some of these players. So I want to hear who your number 10 is.
My number 10, I have Klay Thompson.
Okay.
He barely made it. Like you said, numbers were kind of down, but he shot. He was really efficient. 22 points, 4 rebounds, shot 43% from the field. 40, either almost 41% on from three on 10 attempts, which that's great. Like you said, numbers were down. He barely made it, but he's gonna have to prove this year, I guess, to stay in that top 10. Because I think he easily could. I guess how you had him out of the top 10, he could easily move down this year.
Yeah. Part of my reasoning is that Klay Thompson, obviously, we've seen the best years of Klay Thompson already, and we know that. He's not the defender he was pre injury, and his offensive numbers are starting to decline a little bit. But
Right.
he is still, especially come playoff time, he's still got that competitive spirit higher than almost anybody in the league. So his play is going to escalate as the season goes on, barring injury, of course. So Klay Thompson completely warranted at number 10. He was my number 10 before I slid in somebody uh, late on my list as well. But at number 10, I've got DeJounte Murray, one of your honorable mentions. I got DeJounte Murray at number 10 on my list. Averaged 21 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists last season in his first year with Atlanta. First year running the off guard alongside Trey Young, where he did handle the ball some, but it was Trey Young who had most of the ball handling duties. 46% from the field, 34% from three for DeJounte Murray on a little over 5 attempts a game. Solid shooting splits for him. He's a guy that's not going to light it up from three, but if he can pose that catch and shoot threat alongside Trey Young, he's going to be a good player in that Atlanta offense. And we know that he's a solid defender as well. Has been on all defensive teams before. Great length at 6'5", got like almost a 7 foot wingspan. DeJounte Murray, he's going to have to show some growth here in year 2 if the Hawks want to get back towards the Eastern Conference Finals team that they had in 2021, if they want to get back close to that territory. And DeJounte Murray is really one of the X factors on that team. He's a guy who can take over games. We didn't really see him do a whole lot of that despite being solid statistically last year. So we'll see what DeJounte Murray looks like going into this next season, but I think his two-way ability and his ability to put up stats like those that we saw from him last season, I think that warrants him getting a top 10 spot on this list.
Yeah, you can definitely make the case for it. I was baiting him and Clay at 10.
Yeah, numbers gave it for me to DeJounte Murray and defense, which is weird to say with Klay Thompson, who's been such a good defender in the past. But DeJounte Murray at this stage of his career and Klay Thompson's career is a better defender than Klay Thompson at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll go ahead and get into my number 9 here. This is a guy that may seem low on this list, as he's going to have better numbers most likely than he did this past season. A guy who's really, really efficient. I've got Desmond Bane at number 9. I've got Desmond Bane here at number 9 on my list. 22 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Shot 48% from the field, 41 from 3 on 7 attempts. And without Ja Morant for the first 25 games of the year, Desmond Bane is going to be the number 1 scorer on that team a lot of nights.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be doing his thing on the defensive end, so we don't want to take away from his energy level that he gives on that end. So his offense probably won't go through him as much as it will Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane will be the number 1 option, in my opinion, for the first 25 games of the season. He's going to have to create his shot more this year than he has any other year, which I thought he did a really good job of last year. That's something that I was looking forward to watching him, progress in his game last year, and he did a good job with that. So he's shown the signs that he can be a solid shot creator, and he's going to have to be that, especially early on in this year and as the season goes on for the Grizzlies, if they want to be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference again. But I've got full faith Desmond Bane could put together an all-star season this year. His numbers will be good enough too. I think it would just depend on efficiency and how good the Grizzlies are throughout the first half of the season.
Yeah, I had Desmond Bane at 9 too. Like you said, if Ja missed the first 25 games, he's going to be the number 1 option. I think he will play at the all-star level. It's just there's so many guards in the West, so it'll be hard for him to get it. But he'll have a good chance, especially like you said, if they can stay above 500, which they will, have much over 500 in the first 25 games. But he is one of the more efficient shooters. And like you said, he has to create shots for himself this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, I think he'll take that leap this year.
Yeah, Grizzlies' record without Ja Morant is pretty good. I'll just say that. So I'm not afraid of their record taking a big tank.
They got more right now, so that'll help. 25 games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much they miss Tyus Jones coming off the bench. But Desmond Bane will be solid. The Grizzlies will be solid. I think those are 2 things you can bank on going into this next season. Go ahead and give me your number 8, Jacob.
My number 8, I have Tyrese Maxey.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah, he averaged 20. I was debating on him and Bane a lot, but he averaged 20 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 48% from the field, 43% from 3 on 6 attempts. It's kind of weird to rank him because he's basically the 3rd option, but should be the 2nd. And I'm kind of projecting that the James Harden situation it won't be good. So he's going to have a bigger role especially on ball if they don't trade for, I guess, the all-star they want, which is not happening. So I think he'll have a much bigger role on offense, especially with, I guess, new coach Nick Nurse. He's kind of mentioned it, more pick and roll with Joel using Tyrese and cutting back Joel's, I guess, usage on offense to kind of keep him healthy throughout the year. But I think he'll have a big year, and he could also play at the all-star level. But I guess it just comes down to, like you said, numbers and team record.
Yeah. No, I expect Tyrese Maxey to see a little bit of an increase in statistical individual numbers this upcoming season for sure. He didn't make my list at all. He didn't even make
Yeah.
my honorable mentions, which is he was an honorable mention before like 30 minutes ago. But
Yeah.
he's a
He,
solid player. He's a solid young player. He's going to score points. I think the playmaking aspect of his game, he might be in more of a point guard type role this year, like you said, with James Harden potentially not being there, or what capacity that he will be there in. We have no idea. So Tyrese Maxey might be asked to do a lot this season, and it's going to be interesting to see if he's up for that challenge. Up to this point, he's shown great flashes in his young career, and we know that he has the potential to be an explosive scorer and can show playmaking prowess as well. So I think he has it in him, but I think maybe the 1 year going from last year to this year, I think it may take more time than just that for him to develop those skills, but maybe not. So we'll
yeah,
see.
I think it's going to be there. It's just like it's the playmaking. That's the biggest thing coming up to this year.
Yeah.
But the 8 through 12 to 13, it's like it's all close. It was hard for me to pick and choose.
Yeah, same here. My number 8, I've got Bradley Beal. I've got Bradley Beal at number 8, first year with the Phoenix Suns, away from Washington. Last year, Bradley Beal averaged 23 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Shot over 50% from the field, 37% from three, but he only attempted 4 threes last year, which is strangely low for Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
His 3-point numbers before last season and the few seasons before, he was up around like 7-8 attempts a game. But he got a lot of his work done for the mid-range this past season, which the Suns like to do a lot of, so he fits right in with Book and KD. They'll be the mid-range killers this next season for sure. But of course, Bradley Beal, we know the scoring prowess that Bradley Beal has. He's put up 30-plus point per game seasons. He's been the leading scorer in the NBA in the past 3 years. So we know he has it in him to get buckets at a high clip. It's just his role. It's his role. We don't know how extended his role will be. Likely he'll be the third option on that Phoenix Suns team. So even the numbers that we saw last year have been a decline from years past. They might even be a little lower going into next season. So we don't know exactly how impactful his role will be on the Phoenix Suns, but we know what he can do. We know what he can bring. He's an all-star level player who's proved it on a year-to-year basis. Health has been something with Bradley Beal over the past year or two also that we've had to take into account. But we know at his best, he is an all-star guard in this league. So he's at my number 8.
I got Bradley Beal at my 7. Like you said, we know what he can do. It's just my biggest thing was he will be the third option on Phoenix. I think he's going to take on more of the point guard role for them, I believe. So it'd be interesting to see how that is. Like you said, I think the scoring will take a small dip, but I really just want to see how it works out as being the third option on that team, going from being the number 1 option to the third. It's going to be some adjustment, I think, for him, especially if he's in that point guard role.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see a guy like Bradley Beal, who throughout his career has averaged like 30 points a game, 27 points a game. And with that, he averages like 4 or 5 assists. What if his numbers go from like that to like averaging like Tyrese Halliburton numbers, where he's at like 19, 20 points a game, like 9, 10 assists from playing the point guard alongside Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, who we know is going to knock down shots. So we could see his playmaking assist numbers rise very, very much here this next season. That'll be an interesting little caveat to keep an eye on next season. But my number 7, I've got Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine is my number 7. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists last season. Shot 49% from the field, 38% from 3. That's a good clip for Zach LaVine on a little over 7 attempts. Dynamic scorer. He's not as dynamic as a leaper as he used to be, but he's still a dynamic athlete. He's explosive. He gets to the rim and plays on a Bulls team where his play style doesn't really match the rest of the team. He shoots by far the most threes on that team.
Yeah.
A guy who has been an all-star over the past few years, a guy who we know will play at that level. But I don't know. I feel like Zach LaVine has been due for a change of scenery for a few years now. whether that be him go to a rebuilding team and be the number one option or go to a contending team and maybe have a little bit of a lesser role. I think the Bulls experiment has run its course at this point.
Yeah.
And Zach LaVine, like we know, he's going to put up his numbers. He's going to do his thing while he's there, but it really doesn't attribute to winning all that much. Not to say he's an empty stats guy, but he gets his numbers and the Bulls are still meh. So I don't want to throw any like agenda or like narrative out there about Zach LaVine. That's not what I'm trying to do at all, because he's a great player and he contributes to winning. I'm not trying to say he doesn't contribute to winning, but the Bulls are just meh. And Zach LaVine is, he's the second best player on that team a lot of nights. So I think a change of scenery, with all that being said, is due for Zach LaVine, but he's going to get his numbers. He'll be in all-star considerations every year. I think he's in his prime right now. Every year of his prime, he'll be considered as an all-star. And he's at my number 7 spot. I've got him over Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I got LaVine at my 6th spot. Like you said, the Bulls. I mean, should have blew it up this past off season, so he's going to get a lot of numbers. I think my thing with him is will his role change, especially if they do end up blowing it up midseason, if he gets traded to a different team. How does he fit in with a new team? Like you said, a rebuilding team, we could have great numbers, or a contending team. But yeah, he's still at the all-star level. I guess he kind of not changed his play style, but shoots a lot more now than he has in the past, which I looked at the numbers, and he went from, like you said, I think he averaged almost 8 threes this past year, and before it's been like 3 and 4. So
yeah,
volumes definitely went up. But yeah, it's just the Bulls. It's not empty stats, but almost.
Yeah. And with Zach LaVine, we know he's not going to be a very impactful defender. He's never really been that. But as long as he's shooting at an efficient clip, Zach LaVine is going to be one of the best players on the floor every night.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got that about his game. Number 6, this was a really, really tough guy to put at number 6 for me, because this guy is one of my favorite players in the NBA. He has been for the past few years, and he's dealt with injuries over the past, really his whole career he's dealt with injuries. But this is a guy who I feel like is so much better than the spot that I'm putting him at. But he's here. Unfortunately, he's here. I've got Paul George at my number 6 spot on my shooting guards list. Last season, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 46% from the field, 37% from 3 on 7.5 attempts a game. We know Paul George is at his peak is way higher on this list.
Yeah.
The question is, have we seen the peak of Paul George? I think we have. I hate to say it, but I think we have. Paul George I think he's like 31, 32 years old at this point of his career. Like I said, he's dealt with injuries over the past few seasons. We don't know how often him and Kawhi are going to see the floor. We hear Ty Lue in the offseason say that they're going to make a more concerted effort to play those guys in the regular season. Me personally, I won't believe it until I see it. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But we know at his best, Paul George is one of the best shooting guards in this league. We know that for a fact. His two-way ability is unmatched. He's 6'8", 6'9", mid-range killer, gets to the rim, solid shooter from 3, efficient shooter, 3-level scorer at its finest, with the defensive impact as well. We know Paul George is great. We just don't know how much we'll see of him, and we don't know if we've seen the best of him yet. On a Clippers team who has underachieved a lot of their expectations in several preseasons, I've got Paul George this low on my list, and it pains me, but this is where he's going to sit at number 6.
Yeah, he was hard to rank. Yeah. You want me to my 5?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I'll go ahead and give my 5, because this is a guy you have on your point guards list. I've got Kyrie Irving at my number 5 of my shooting guards list. So I have him listed as a shooting guard, partially because that's what he played the back half of last season with Dallas, and that's what he'll play going into this next season alongside Luka Doncic. But Kyrie, his numbers were better than I thought they were last year. I didn't realize that Kyrie was up around 28 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. and he was the guy that shot 47% from the field and almost 40% from three on like 7-8 attempts. Kyrie was a very efficient scorer last season, and I think it's probably because we only saw him play 60 games, and he played for two different teams. But Kyrie got the job done, even at his older age. I think at this point he's like 30, 31. But he's showing that he's still got some good years left. And on an underperforming Dallas team last year, I think the narrative around Kyrie was a little unfair to the season he had. He had a great season last year. He had an all NBA caliber season last year if he had played a few more games. So I think Kyrie Irving is set to have a great season this year. I think that we'll see his numbers look about the same, but I'm of the belief that the Dallas Mavericks will be better than the 11 seed. I would hope they'd be better than the 11 seed, and I think they'll be a good bit better than the 11 seed. I think that they're a team that could potentially avoid the play-in altogether, because I expect there to be a higher level of camaraderie on that team. Kyrie has another year to gel with the guys who have been there. I think that he's due for another great season. So I think as long as he plays 65, 70 games, if he can play between that range, Kyrie's going to be an all-NBA caliber player this next season. He'll be an all-star, no doubt. So I am looking forward to watching Kyrie Irving play basketball next season. He's at my 5.
Yeah, I think with the full year with Luka, it'd be a lot better. It should be a lot better, but just have to see how the rest of the roster holds up.
Yeah, for sure.
But at my number 5, I had Paul George.
Okay, so we're not too off. I thought you might have him top 3. Honestly,
I did at first, and then I kind of just thought, I was like, that's at his peak, but like you said, it's kind of past him. Well, I don't think it's past him. It's just the injury concerns, like when will he play and how much will he play. But like you said, one of the best two-way players at his peak, 3-level scorer. It's just the injury. It's just the injury because you never know. Like I think he had a relatively healthy year last year until the end of the year. That's when he, I think, hurt his shoulder or elbow right before the playoffs. But it's just his health, and like you said, him getting older, it's going to probably show more. I hate to say it because I do love watching Paul George play, but the injuries are going to be there.
Yeah. He was the hardest player to rank on my list, and I didn't have him on my shooting guards originally. I was going to put him on my small forwards. Yeah, I'm not going to feel good about having him where I have him at, but I think Kyrie will have a better season than Paul George will next year. I can say that confidently.
Yeah. I think Paul George could definitely move up this list in the year. It really just depends on if he's healthy and if these other guys play at the level we expect them to play.
Yeah. I hope he does. I hope he exceeds all of what we're saying. I want Paul George to have a great year. I want the Clippers to realize their potential. I would love to see the Clippers go to the finals and kind of kill all these narratives, dead all these narratives talking about they've underachieved. I would like to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great. At least the Western Conference push. That'd be great.
Yeah, just something.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Number 4. This is a guy that's hard to put over Paul George as well. But I really do think this guy is going to have a better year than Paul George will next year. At number 4, this is a guy who's gotten a lot of buzz lately. He's a guy that I think has just recently taken over the number 1 spot of his team. I've got Anthony Edwards at my number 4 spot. I've got Anthony Edwards as my number 4 shooting guard. Ant-Man, 25 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists last season, shot 46% from the field, 37% from 3 on 7.3 attempts. The Timberwolves are his team now. They're his team. Last season, last playoffs, even in just the 5-game series they played against Denver, he was the guy. He proved himself to be the guy in that series. I think Anthony Edwards, we've seen him play with Team USA this offseason. He's been one of the most prolific players on that team. He looks poised to have a great season. He's receiving all kinds of hype. He is one of the most talked about players in the NBA. His personality is second to none. He's a great player to root for. And he brings excitement to that Minnesota Timberwolves team, a team that, if he were not there, would probably have a lot of turmoil and a lot of internal questions, which, I mean, they already do. about, Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. But that's kind of masked by how good Anthony Edwards is and can be. That's the main story with the Timberwolves right now. He has a lot of expectations set on him. Some people comparing some of his clips to those of Michael Jordan and Kobe. He's still very young in his career. I think last year was only his third season, so he's still got a lot of ball ahead of him. But he's proven early on in his career he has that killer instinct. He wants the clutch moment, and he's come through in some of those moments early on in his career. He's a guy who's going to put up his numbers. He's a guy who's going to be an all-star, barring any injury or unforeseen circumstance. I expect Anthony Edwards to have another great season. I expect him to be the leader of the Timberwolves team. And I expect them to be back in the playoffs in some capacity. I think that they'll probably be a play-in team again, unfortunately. But Anthony Edwards is going to have a great individual season, in my opinion. So he's at number 4 on my list.
Yeah, I can agree with that. At my number 4, I have the highest paid player in the NBA. I have Jaylen Brown.
I like it. I'm glad you put him.
I got him at 4. 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, almost 50% from the field, 33 from 3 on 7 attempts. Like you said, he was a big part of them last year. They were
right.
They were.
I want to know. Here, wait. Before you keep going, I want to know what puts him only at number 4. I want to know from you. I want you to tell me why Jaylen Brown is only number 4.
I don't know. This
is what I was waiting for this whole time.
It was really hard. I don't want to say it was the playoff struggles because he struggled, but he had a great regular season. Even beginning of the playoffs, he played great. I just think these guys above him have a better year next year. That's kind of what I'm projecting. I think he'll be a lot better. I think he'll improve, especially his ball handle. That's kind of the question he's had. I really think he will improve. I believe that he was All-Star, All-NBA last year. He can definitely repeat that. But I kind of think with, I guess, the addition of Kristaps, his scoring might go down because he's going from the second option to, I guess, still the second, maybe sharing the second on some nights. I think Tatum will be the leading scorer again, probably close, if not more than 30 points again. But I just think the guys above him have a better year. It was really hard to rank Jaylen Brown. It was really hard. I went back and forth on it.
No, I get it. Jaylen Brown is probably one of the most controversial players in the NBA over this offseason, just based off his play to end the season. Talking about how he doesn't have a left hand, how he can't dribble with his left hand. I'm going to hold off on Jaylen Brown because I've got a little piece I want to say on Jaylen Brown when I get to him. Go ahead and give me your number 3, though, Jacob.
My number 3. So this is from last year and projecting.
Yes.
My number 3, I have Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Not expecting that.
Yeah.
Why?
I think Cleveland, depending on what happens with Philadelphia, Cleveland can be a top 3 seed, especially which you don't believe the Dame to Miami trade will happen. So Cleveland is poised to be a top 3 seed, maybe 4.
Maybe.
So I think we have another big year. I believe he was All NBA second team, third maybe.
I don't remember for sure, but he was on one. He was on one of them.
He was on the All NBA last year. I think him and Darius Garland they fit well off each other. Have a lot of that number 1 defense. I think the number 1 defense last year or top.
They're top 3. They were top 3.
Top 3 for sure. Like you say, he's normally an All-Star every year. He averaged 28 points per game on. I didn't realize he shot 38% from 3 on 9 attempts, I didn't think he shot that many.
He's efficient.
Almost close to 2 steals. So he's there great on defense, but I just think it wouldn't be right for me to put him out of the top 3. I think it was really between 3 and 2 is where I was debating on putting Donovan Mitchell.
You know what's crazy?
What?
I've got Donovan Mitchell at number 3 too. Donovan Mitchell's at my number 3 also.
It was
He was efficient. Like you said, he was efficient. He shot 39% from 3 if you round up on over 9 attempts, 28 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Counting stats are great. He had, of course, one of the 2 71-point games last season.
Yeah.
Gave us some really good moments, had a lot of highlights from last season. I think it can be said, and it goes under the radar whenever you talk about how much talk Jaylen Brown gets whenever how the season ended. Donovan Mitchell had just as bad, if not worse, to an end of the season as Jaylen Brown did.
Yeah.
They got beat in the first round in a series they were not supposed to lose, not picked to lose, and Donovan Mitchell didn't play well.
Yeah,
that is just flown completely under the radar if we're talking about players being kind of doxed in the media over the offseason. But I think it's partly because Jaylen Brown plays for a big market. He plays for the Celtics, and Donovan Mitchell plays for the Cavs, who are a younger team collectively, who haven't had much playoff experience. As you talked about, I think the Cavs will be a top 3-4 seed in the Eastern Conference again next year. And with a year of playoff experience under their belt, they're poised to go further than the first round for sure this upcoming season. Donovan Mitchell is the best player on that team. I think he'll be an all-star again this season. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. So they should be solid. Donovan Mitchell will put up another good year. With that being said, I do not think he's better than Jaylen Brown. I don't. I think Jaylen Brown is better than Donovan Mitchell.
It was close.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I knew Jaylen Brown averaged a lot of points, but I didn't realize how it was 26. But I guess he is the. They have the 2 main scorers on Boston, so I kind of took that into account too.
Yeah. Jaylen Brown also averaged over 7 rebounds a game last year, 4 assists, about 50% from the field. He only shot 34% from 3, but he shot 7 attempts, highest in his career. And it's a thing. This is my piece about Jaylen Brown. There's really a question some games. Who's better? People ask that question. Who's better between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? And the fact that people are even having to ask that question, that's got to mean something for Jaylen Brown. He's the highest paid player in the NBA right now. And being compared to a guy like Jason Tatum, who I think is a top 5 player in the league, maybe top 7. He's between that 5 to 7 range, in my opinion. That's got to mean something for Jaylen Brown. I don't think Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown is. But the fact that they draw those comparisons and that those narratives arise, it's got to mean something for Jaylen Brown. He has put up great numbers offensively. He's a great defender. He takes on, oftentimes, the best wing player. Jaylen Brown is a 2-level player. He's kind of become Paul George in a way. With maybe a little bit like I'm not gonna excuse his ball handling, because his ball handling is bad. He does turn over the ball at a pretty high clip, which are an off guard is something that you don't want to see, which kind of hurt them late on in the season. But Jaylen Brown does too many things really well for me to dismiss the season he had. I think he's a more complete player than Donovan Mitchell is. I think Donovan Mitchell is a better offensive player than Jaylen Brown, of course. But I think what Jaylen Brown brings you with two-way ability, he can play multiple positions. He can guard multiple positions. Donovan Mitchell is a 6'1" shooting guard. Let's keep that in mind. And Jaylen Brown is 6'6", 6'7", can guard your 1 through 4. I think you've got to take that into account. Sure, it can be said that he was playing for money last season, so we'll see what he does this upcoming season since he's been paid. But I have no reason to believe that his numbers will take a dip. Back with Boston, a team where he has familiarity. It'll be interesting to see if he's the guy that takes number 1 assignment since Marcus Smart is no longer there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I've got Jaylen Brown at number 2.
You don't think it's going to take a dip? Any?
I don't think so, because Marcus Smart was a guy, he barely missed my list as well. I thought about putting Marcus Smart as an honorable mention. I think picking up slack from Marcus Smart, I think shots will be the same. I think he'll get the same amount of shots, if not a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think he'll come out hungry.
Because
He realizes that he didn't have a good end to the season last year. I think he'll come out hungry to start the season. I have no reason to believe he wouldn't. So I've got every reason to believe Jaylen Brown will put up similar numbers.
Yeah, I think we have another good year. It's just I think with Kristaps, if Porzingis is healthy, he's going to take some of that offensive load.
That is true.
That's the only kind of reason I kind of have him a little bit down. I think he could take a step back. Like you said, it was a contract year last year. But if Porzingis is healthy, which is a big if, I think he could take a step back. If not, if he is hurt, which he normally is, then his numbers could even be higher than it was last year.
Yeah, there were people vouching last year, seriously vouching for Jaylen Brown to be a first-team All-NBA player.
Yeah,
and some of the cases that people made were valid, honestly.
Like you said, with the him versus Jason Tatum thing, I think that was more understandable the year before last, especially in the playoffs when they went to the finals.
Right.
I think this past year Tatum kind of put that to rest, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
no
not
doubt. Tatum's better than
'cause-
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, but some nights Jaylen Brown does look a lot better, especially in these playoffs this past year. There was games that Jaylen Brown did look a lot better. But yeah, I don't know. I just got to see which it is one piece. It's just Kristaps, but I just got to see how they mesh together first.
Right. That's understandable. I get it. Give me your number two. I think I know who it is. Give me your spiel on your number two guy.
Oh, my number two, I have Anthony Edwards.
Right.
So since we are projecting, I think he had a really big year. Like you said, he established himself as the guy on Minnesota last year. I think it was coming in. I think he was the guy. Maybe not, but they dealt with injuries, so they were a low seed. Karl-Anthony Towns missed most of the year. The fit between him and Gobert was not good, and Gobert in the paint kind of hurt Ant. I know he mentioned it early in the season that the paint was he couldn't drive to the paint. But I know the chemistry evened out. It got a lot better. Like you said in the playoffs against Denver, Anthony Edwards was that guy. He was it game 4? I think it was
Game 4 was the game that won.
I think game 4 he kind of took over for Minnesota at the end of that game. And I'm projecting him, like you said, he has a lot of buzz right now, especially with playing in the FIBA World Cup. But I really think he can definitely have. Yeah, I think he'll have an All NBA year, but I think he could take that leap to. It's hard projecting. He could play the MVP level if.
Wow.
If Minnesota is up there, but like I said, like you said, they might be in the play-in. Especially, I guess we got to see if they trade Karl-Anthony Towns. If they're kind of middle of the pack, below that All-Star break, I can kind of say confidently Karl-Anthony Towns will get traded, or should get traded. But I'll give it another year with them, and I think they'll be a lot better. I think he could lead them to 6, maybe 6, maybe a top 6 spot.
Hey, you know who said Karl-Anthony Towns was going to get traded last season on this channel?
Yeah,
this guy.
If it's bad how it was last year and they don't see it working, I think they should trade Gobert, but they're not going to do that after what they gave up for him. So
no.
I think Cattle, if it's bad, Cattle get moved, and depending on what they get, I think Ant have a really good year next year.
Yeah, it's no doubt at this point Ant is the guy.
He's a dark horse MVP for me. I'll say that. I'm not going to put him top 5, but he's a dark horse. Yeah,
I like it. I just don't know if his regular season numbers will be all that great. And of course, team success for the Timberwolves is the biggest question.
Yeah, I think his numbers will jump. It really is just the team success.
Yeah. I like it, though. I like having Anthony Edwards at number 2. I'm glad you did that. I assume at number 1 we have the same guy then. I expect D-Book to be your number 1, as he is mine. 28 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 49% from the field, 35 from 3 on 6 attempts. A guy who had a great postseason last year despite losing to the Nuggets in 6 games. Devin Booker is a go-getter. He's a scorer. He's going to be an all-star. He's going to be an all-NBA player, most likely. Will be interesting to see if a full season alongside Kevin Durant, if his numbers dip, and with Bradley Beal there as well, if his scoring dips significantly. It may. but I think Devin Booker's still going to, be efficient as he usually is. We know that he steps up in big time moments. Guy that's been good in the finals, a guy that's been good in the postseason in general. One of my favorite players in the league, a mid-range killer, 3-level scorer. Has gotten to the free throw line better over the past few seasons. D Book, a guy who's become a much improved defender as well. D Book's my number one guy.
Yeah, like you said, I'm not a big fan of him, but he's got my respect. He is a great player. So it's like you said, just I guess. Do you think he'll be the number one option on Phoenix, or will it be KD?
I've got to believe Durant is. That doesn't mean that Booker might not Book might average more points than KD, but I think KD is going to be the number one go-to option. I think so.
Yeah, I want to see how they do in clutch time with the full year. Who kind of
part of the reason I think KD will be the number one option too is because Phoenix is going to have to defend at least slightly, and out of everybody who's going to be on the floor, I want Phoenix to start Josh Okogie for that reason. I want Josh Okogie to be kind of their defensive guy and on the perimeter. But if not, Devin Booker is going to have to be the second guy that locks in on the defensive end. He's a better defender than Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant's 35, 36 years old at this point. He'll likely be defending the interior. So Devin Booker is going to have to take on some tough assignments this next season. So we'll see how he does on defense. But I think he's built for it.
Yeah,
for sure. Those are the top 10 shooting guards, though. I was pleased with how that went. How about you, Jacob?
Yeah, like you said, it was tough, especially the back end. But I'm glad our list was a lot different.
Yeah, me too. So like last time, we're going to end today's episode with the immaculate grid once again, with the basketball grid. We went 9 for 9 last time, so that kind of set the standard. We've got to go 9 for 9 again today. Jacob, I see on today's grid that the 76ers are on here. So you should be able to give us some insight on these squares. And I'm going to start as they have the top left square with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Sixer and a Timberwolf, Jacob. Who you got for this square?
I got a few of them.
Well, a couple guys you can choose from.
Yeah, so I'm trying to keep the score low. I think I'll go. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking back to a trade.
Yeah, can't use Patrick Beverly for this square since he hasn't played for the Sixers yet. He has to play a game for the team for him to count.
Him and Shake Milton I can't use.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to a trade. Who did
Jimmy Butler get traded for?
I know one.
I know one. I know one too.
I know one. I'm trying to think of the other. It was two guys. I'm trying to think of the other guy.
One guy is the guy that you're thinking of, Dario Saric. I'm pretty sure Dario Saric was a part of that trade, right?
I know him and Robert Covington were.
Right, Covington, Rocco, duh.
I'll say Rocco.
Rocco?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go with Robert Covington, Blazer, Sixer legend, Robert Covington. 11%, pretty good start. Second square, I've got the Timberwolves and the Clippers. I'm going to be basic here. I'm going to go with Patrick Beverly. I'm going to use him just to go ahead and get him out of the way. I expect him to be high, 41%.
Yeah.
Next, Sixer and a Sacramento King.
Could be Tyrese Halliburton, but that didn't happen.
Dang, that's tough. Sixer and a Sacramento King. I can think of one off the top of my head.
I'll go Richaun Holmes.
That's who I was thinking of too.
Yeah.
Richaun Holmes. Let's see, 20%. So, all right. I'll go ahead and knock out this.
Is this the immaculate grid one? Where it's one?
It is. Okay. It is. So we have to go 9 for 9. I'll go ahead and knock out the Timberwolves 5 assists a game. I am going to use. You could use Ricky Rubio. I think you can use Jeff Teague here too. I'm going to play it safe, I guess, and I'll go with Ricky Rubio. I expect him to have a high percentage. Ricky Rubio, yeah, 35%. I've not done as much good with the rarity score, but we're just trying to go 9 for 9 here. Last Sixers square, I'll let you have this one. Sixers and the Jazz. Philadelphia 76er and the Utah Jazz. I've got one. I've got an easy one in my head, but you can probably think of one better. Philadelphia 76er, Utah Jazz.
I don't know if this guy played for the Jazz. I'm trying to think of one.
The guy I have in my head is Niang, George Niang.
Yeah, I'm thinking about somebody that's old. Did Paul Millsap play for Utah?
I think he did. He played for the Hawks. He played end of his career. I'm thinking about early career Paul Millsap. I know he played for the Hawks. Yeah, I think so. You want to try Paul Millsap? Or should we do Niang just to be sure? Your call.
We'll do Niang.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Paul Millsap did, but I get him mixed up with Al Jefferson for some reason. And I know Al Jefferson played for the Jazz, so I don't know about Paul Millsap. Niang is 18%, so that's not bad. My square here, I've got the Los Angeles Clippers and the Sacramento Kings.
He got drafted to Utah.
Yeah. It's okay. I feel like he would have been just as high as Niang, honestly.
Yeah, he was there for like 7 years.
Yeah. Dang, how can I think of that? Anyways, Sacramento King, LA Clipper. King and a Clipper. Let me think about this one for a second.
King and Clippers?
Sacramento King and LA Clipper. Matt Barnes fits here. I know Matt Barnes fits. Don't believe Jamal Crawford does. Eric Bledsoe has technically played for the Kings, but I don't think he's ever suited up. Might have to go Matt Barnes. I'm going to give it one more minute or so. See if I can think of anybody. I'm thinking about bubble Clipper team. Like, they had Lou Williams, but I don't think he played for the Kings. Montrezl Harrell, he hasn't played for the Kings. Eric Gordon, I'm pretty sure, hasn't been a King. Marcus Morris hasn't been a King. Alex Len has played for the Kings, but I don't know if he's played for the Clippers. So I do think I'm going to go Matt Barnes here. I'm going to go with Matt Barnes.
I was thinking of Alex Len too, but he didn't. He didn't play for the Clippers.
And Matt Barnes, 14%. So that's not terrible. Not terrible. I'll give you the Kings 5 assist square. Got a couple guys you can use for this one.
Did he average 5? There's a player I don't know if he averaged 5.
Who?
Jason Williams. I'm sure he did.
I don't know.
I'm sure he did, but I really don't know.
That was early stages of his career, Jason Williams, too. So I don't know how many minutes for sure he was playing.
Did De'Aaron average? I think De'Aaron averaged 5.
Yeah, De'Aaron did.
I'll go De'Aaron Fox.
Okay. Another cop out. I'm not going to do a cop out for my last one. I'm going to try to get a pool. De'Aaron Fox, 29%. Yeah. Percentage is not looking good, but we'll go 9 for 9. I've got the last 5 assist square. I've got the Utah Jazz 5 assists. So let's see. I think I could go Dante Exum here. I'm not going to do that because I don't know for sure. I could go Dante Exum. I could go Mike Conley. I could go who else has been Jazz point guard? I don't know if Emmanuel Mudiay played a whole season there, but he was a point guard for the Jazz at some point.
I don't think he did.
Darren Williams is a guy from early 2000s that you could use. Of course, you got John Stockton. Who would be the lowest out of all these guys? Ricky Rubio also played for the Jazz. We've already used Ricky Rubio. Who would be the lowest for the Jazz? I don't think Colin Sexton averaged 5 last year.
That's what I'm thinking. Because he didn't play much, I don't think.
No. I might. I feel like even Mike Conley's a cop-out. I might just go old school just to do it. I'm going to go. This isn't even really old school. I wonder if Pistol Pete did, if he averaged 5 assists. I don't know for sure. But I'm going to go with Darren Williams. I know he has for sure. 15%, still pretty high. It's whatever.
Jason Williams averaged like 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I tweaked on that one. All right, last square, Utah Jazz, LA Clippers. Finish us off 9 for 9. Any guy that comes to the top of mind?
What's our score?
It's high right now. If I calculate it, it's probably up around like 170 already. Yeah.
So the Clippers and the Jazz?
Clippers and the Jazz, but we're just trying to go 9 for 9.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we go for rarity.
Clippers and the. Ooh, I'm blank. Well, no, he didn't play.
Clipper and the Jazz. I'm trying to think too. I don't know if Jeff Green has played for the Clippers or not. I don't know. Let's see.
He's played for a lot of teams.
I usually don't like using journeyman because I feel like it's kind of a cop-out.
Yeah. The Clippers and the Jazz.
Gordon Hayward is not. Yeah, this is a tough one. Jay Crowder is not.
I'm trying to think back to the Lob City Clippers.
All right. That starting lineup: Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Matt Barnes, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, Eric Bledsoe, Jamal Crawford.
None of them played, I don't think, for Utah.
Eric Bledsoe, Jamal Crawford, like Ryan Hollins was like the backup center, but I don't know who he played for in his career outside of the Clippers. Ronnie Tyrioff.
Did Rodney Hood play for the Clippers?
I think he did. I think he has, actually. I know he's played for the Jazz. I'm going to try Rodney Hood. You want to try Rodney Hood? This will be a low percentage, too.
That's fine, if it works.
It does work. Rodney Hood does work. Wow, 14%. That's higher than I thought. That's the same as, that's higher than Robert Covington. Like, Robert Covington was the lowest percentage square on this list. That's crazy. But yeah, we were in, the 180s, 190s with that. Next time we'll play for rarity, but we go 9 for 9 again.
I think the only reason I thought of Rodney Hood, I saw him in the Portland jersey, and I was like, hey, he played on a few times.
Yeah, I remember him playing for the Jazz, and I think he's played for the Clippers fairly recently.
I think it was a few years ago. I don't think he's on a team now.
Yeah. I'm about to look it up real quick before we close. Rodney Hood played for the Clippers he played for the Clippers in the 2021-2022 season.
Yeah.
That was the last team he played for. And he only played 13 games for them, but it counts. It works. So that's the episode today. We'll go ahead and call the episode there. It was a good episode. We'll be back next time. Small forwards, part 3 of the 5-part series. That's sure to be a big episode. There's so many big name small forwards in the league. Jacob, before we close today, you got anything you want to say?
That's all I got.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. And thanks for watching. And we'll see y'all later.
See ya.